He's L.
Spike in my foot.
Yeah, you could be close.
I'll hope to.
Oh, the whole team is there. The whole team is there. Abort, abort, abort.
Why destroyed?
Get out of my way.
Actually, the whole team.
Yeah.
They're ready, dude. They're ready.
I
I
don't
don't
know
know about that call, but...
Guys, look, the UAV's online. Guys, look, B is completely open.
Yeah, UAV.
Didn't do anything. They're all A.
LG, he was able to get some good reads against Honor Thieves. He was getting some good reads.
Yeah.
So Shaz's IGL ability is insane.
What's up, everybody? In this week's video, we look at how Sentinels quote-unquote gamble on their defense. As the clips I've just shown, Shaz is a big part of the decision-making of this team. Shaz, he's the main IGL, and he has this knack of drawing big conclusions with little information. I then ask myself, man, is this guy just really insane at guessing? If you've ever been on the Valorant subreddit, Sentinels have often been quoted as being gambly. They would gamble sites for no reason, and they're just really lucky at it. But after a deeper analysis, just like my previous video, I feel that's a misconception, and I'm here to dispel that notion. I feel that gambling is a slightly harsh word for what is their actual ability to gather information, knowing their opponents, and set traps. Without further ado, let's get into it. This week's breakdown focuses on the Ascent game between Sentinels and Luminosity, a match played during VCT Masters. We first look at round 6 of this encounter, and to get my point across that Sentinels, they don't just randomly gamble on their defense, I'll mainly focus on how they play out this round. This round perfectly shows how well they make reads off of info, and what are the steps they take to be ready for what they're anticipating. As for LG, if you're interested about how they operate, well, you can tell me in the comments, and I'll make a video about them in the near future. Let's look at their setups here. So we have Sentinels on their default defensive setup with Zoms and Sick on A, Tens on mid, Shahzam and Dapper on B, while Luminosity, they're gearing up for a B hit here with most members around Garage, and a Proto setting up his utility long A and coming back and whatnot. So the round starts with a pretty typical fashion, I'd say. Like, for example, we have here a smoke on short, a drone for mid, and a recon arrow in Garage. So we have this, and a one-way on long A. So that's just the start of the round. Tensi gets tagged here by the drone, and that draws Shahzam's rotation. So you see here a very clear protocol where if Sick isn't able to have this crossfire with Tens on mid, and he's unable to gather any information, and also with Tens, backing up market, Shahzam's rotation is to go fence here and drone mid to get some info and what's going on here. I'd say that typically when the offense side, they drone from mid, they try to get arch control here, somebody following the drone and whatnot, especially with a smoke on short. But in this case, there's nobody following the drone, which is fine, but it's, the jig is up. The drone here will find out that nobody's actually pressuring mid, and Tens will be more free in re-peeking and whatnot. We'll see here actually the round winning camera, as I call it. You see, Tens is actually ready for this fight. Like, he's anticipating somebody following the drone, but there's actually nobody. And boom, this is a camera that wins the round. So we have here Dapper's camera. I'm pretty sure he spots Dre, Thief, and probably Stellar's shoulder. If not, well, that's not a big deal because they know at least minimum 2 in Garage, and we had the Moose and Tiles. So there's at least, let's say he doesn't see Stellar here with the camera. I'm not too sure with the minimap. There's at least 3 people in this area. Another tell is also with Zoms keeping tabs on A. He can call that there's no utility that was used A long, because I'd say nobody really creeps up into this one way on long A. Usually there's a recon arrow, there's a Reyna flash to push through. Like, I'd say that nobody really walks through this one way, so Zoms can say, I haven't heard anything long A. So there's this assumption that the Luminosity, they don't have long A control. So that's a fair assumption, I'd say. Plus, well, like I said, this camera gets so much value here. And like I said here, we have Shahzam. He's trying to help out Tens, but you'll see how short this drone actually is, because the info from the camera is enough for him to see that his drone stopped right there. He could have gone, could have gone at least through until here, but that's enough of a tell for him. You know what, guys, it's a B hit. It's more important for him to help out Dapper here as soon as possible than gathering more info on mid. So that's how conclusive this tell is for him. Let's move on. By the way, you'll notice here that Stellar he only has 1 smoke left, and the hit is coming in pretty soon. So their compromise is to smoke market and leave spawn open and fight it with, you know, Reyna, Leers, and whatnot. How this round plays out. So the first reaction defensively here is a Cypher one-way. I'll explain right now what the rotations are, and you see, you know, like Sick is already off of A. There's 1:16 left into the round. This is how sure this is how sure Sentinels are it's a B hit. So I'll explain the rotations right now, actually what's gonna happen and whatnot. So like I said, Shahzam, he goes back B. Sick, he's off of A. He's coming to pair up with Shahzam on spawn. Ten's his job is to clear mid here. So he gets information on if there's a lurk or not, but also he allows Zombs to get into this beautiful line for his paranoia. I see that the best paranoias defensively on B are from market here, or if you're playing deep mid, that's okay too. You can really help out your teammate with that paranoia. So that's their rotations here. Something like this. So this is a protocol here. The first protocol was Shahzam droning mid when Tens is pushed off and, you know, Sick is smoked off. And this is their protocol of if it's a B hit. Let's move on. Look at this beautiful one-way, by the way. If you have a, you know, a teammate on spawn here, this is what he sees, and it's such a winning angle for them. So I really recommend, if you ever, you know, play Cypher on Anchor B, this is one way to learn. A small detail here is Moose, he recons backside. I'm not too sure if this is preemptive or he's trying to draw some utility out of Sentinels. That's fair, because I feel that they're not even ready to really hit the site. But shortly, the execute is coming in. Let's see what goes on here. Okay, so there's a paranoia here from Stellar. Stellar is going to ult back site. We have Dre, he's gonna ult into site with the info that Omen gives him. And Tens, you'll see he's gonna accelerate his flank here to try and get Stellar with his pants down. You'll see what I mean. There it is. Omen ult gets cancelled. Dre, with that info, he ults into site. Tens is taking this fight here with Omen coming back from his cancelled ult. Actually, he actually loses the fight. You'll see in a second. So there it is. We have Zombs, he's going to paranoia from here. Sick, he can fast route here. And he has a free line of sight as well. So it's a really advantageous situation here for Sentinels. And on an individual level, I feel that this is such a smart play from Dapper. So he takes his fight against Dre, making him miss his rocket backside. And he takes the fight because I'd say that, you know, you've been in this situation before. Raze is way faster than her teammates with the satchels and whatnot. So usually there's not an immediate trade. So it's really good to actually challenge her, especially if you can put a wall between you and her ult. So you see here, really smart play by Dapper. He wins that fight. You see the paranoia here coming in from Zombs, from market. And at this point, you'll see the round is pretty much over. With that kill, pretty much this round is over. The bomb's down, visible to the defense side here. We have Stellar in a 1v3. This was such a beautiful round by Sentinels. I feel that, you know, with the information that they've gathered, they do the right call, they take the right procedures in being ready for this B hit. Like I said, the rotations I explained, no utility on long A, and they just straight up stacked the site with something like 1:15 left into the round. And I feel that so much is lost within the stream where you look at this match and you're seeing, if you're even, I'd say, like, that's a bit, pay a bit of attention onto the radar here, you'd be like, oh, Sentinels are gambling B again, they're so lucky, Luminosity is all there. But these little things are enough to tell them that it's a B hit, and I feel it's such a logical conclusion, and it's really beautifully played. The second sequence I wanted to show you guys is in the 4th round of this matchup, where we're going to focus on the B side of things. Sentinels, they have this gimmick play to start off the round where they're going to commit the drone with the run it back. It's on a good timing actually on the 4th round here, to get some information and possibly a pick outside garage. So let's focus on that in this round and see how this plays out. So there you see it. He gets tagged. Run it back. Stellar is there to help him out and save his life. and a bit more damage here. So you can see here that it's very clear the intention of Sentinels. They want to, put pressure on the isolated player, which is a proto. Typically, a proto is always outside garage on the default on gun rounds. So Sentinels, they recognize that and they really try to get a pick on him in the best case scenario. And this is another lesson on defaulting. I've gotten this question a lot actually. People have asked me, against a 1-3-1 or a 1-1-3 on the defense side of things, how do you counter that? A good way to deal with it typically is to pressure the player that's alone. So if you recognize that there's always a guy outside garage alone, just set up a play with a teammate. Just ask him for help. Come with me, flash for me. I'll try and get a pick on the guy that's always alone. And if the Luminosity have done their homework, which I'm guessing, I'll leave them the benefit of the doubt. I'm guessing they did. They have actually Stellar here that was close by to save a Proto's life. They see that Sick had ult. They see this is a typical play that Sentinels they do. So just having a buddy system here is really beneficial because a Proto stays alive, his camera is alive, and I see him typically in these positions to counter what's a typical counter to his position. So good on him, but Sentinels they'll remember what happened in this round and they'll adjust to it in the round later on. To follow up on what I just showed you, this is the 9th round where Sentinels they adjust their approach from the 4th round and get better results and set up traps for Luminosity to go towards A here. I'll show you how exactly. So they're gonna push garage once again, but they save the run it back for mid. So they're gonna commit the drone and just dapper dry peeking into garage here to pressure a proto. Our proto, I feel, is even more wary this time because, well, one, he recognizes that Sick has his ult once again, but this time Stellar isn't with him. So he's even more passive than the round I just showed you. Other little details are a recon here by Moose, and also Thief is gonna leer through this one way on long A, which, as I mentioned in the first round I analyzed, nobody really walks through this one way on long A. People always trade utility here. So Thief, he leers through this one way, and as a trade, Zoms is going to re-smoke a main. So just keep this in mind in terms of always trading your utility. So smoke, how do I counter that? I flash, how do I counter them gaining ground on long A? I re-smoke arch here if you're Zoms. So here there's a play I just mentioned. So they actually destroyed a Proto's camera thanks to this push with the drone, and that is so fundamental in terms of pressuring a Proto. You'll notice that without his camera he doesn't have line of sight here, and that discourages him so much in terms of contesting garage. He never goes back. Actually, he's gonna stay spawn and then rotate towards A. That's huge for this round. And you're gonna see in just a moment a really nice play from Sentinels actually. Just notice Shahzam, he's on stairs here. And boom, look at this little play here that you can only notice through the minimap. So there's a recon above tiles, as well as the camera activating at the exact same time. By the way, this camera gains so much value with the play that they made garage and destroying the camera here. Because a Proto, he doesn't even know that they have vision onto outside garage here. And plus with the recon here, they confirm nobody's tiles. So Sentinels, they have the information here that there's nobody towards B. So they're able to assess that they can, stack more towards A here, which is what they do right after the play on mid here. So notice that the round I just showed you before, they use the run it back onto garage, but seeing as how a Proto is so passive here, it's impossible to get a pick on him. Like, he can literally just run T-spawn and avoid the run it back without the run it back getting that much value. So they try something different and they use it mid for some mid round aggression. Run it back, double peek mid here with 10s. Really good damage on Dre. And if you ever watch Plat Chat with Shahzam as a guest, he even mentions this. He says that on Ascent, Dre is never alone. He's always part sort of the main squad here and at the final hit basically. And that's very true actually. So they see Dre top mid. They've assessed that there's nobody towards B. and they assume that Fifi took long A control with the Lear in the beginning of the round. So logically, Dre would join up where Luminosity has map control, which is long A. Is there a world where he goes back to spawn into garage? I mean, yes, it's always a possibility, but Sentinels, they feel safe about that possibility because of the camera here, again having so much value. Let's continue on. From this point on, look at this. Look at them. They're going to stack towards A. Fifi is, gearing up for this A hit here. He's even going to ping the cage here, and this cage is also predetermined in terms of how Sentinels, they play this round. Their goal with the pressure garage here, especially destroying the camera, is to discourage Luminosity in hitting B, so they're able to have this additional rotation of utility on A main, which is beautiful. It's such a well set trap here in the grand scheme of things. Look at this. Is really good timing from Sick as a Molly. So nothing's happening right now, but since they know that it's going to be an A hit, he wants to gain ground in terms of, look, you guys come back rafters or heaven, whatever you call it. I'll play site, and that way we have sort of a level change in terms of angles, and that's so hard to deal with. Let's continue on. So he mollies front out, and this discourages FIFA of pushing the smoke. Stellar ults near generator here, and Sick is going to take care of that and gain ground. So he cancels the ult here, and he allows his teammates to play A heaven. You see how this Molly was so well timed with the Lear here. I mean, Fifi doesn't want to push, so that renders his last flash useless. The only flash that they have on Luminosity's side is the paranoia here, and even then you'll see the Sentinels have a way to deal with it. Let's continue on here. There's a flash. At this point, you'll see on the minimap, this is a really good lurk right away by Moose. He avoided the recon here. There was a recon above tiles. He was playing Sub Rosa, and then he just creeped up short, which is a really good lurk, by the way. But okay, so you see the paranoia here by Stellar. It flashes Sick here, and in response, well, one, there's going to be the Cypher Cage, which again discourages the push on another use of utility. Usually you would go in with the paranoia, but with the cage you're sort of discouraged about it. And plus Zoms from heaven, he's going to flash, well, he's gonna paranoia himself to trade out this rush here. See that? That's his paranoia. They're scared of it, they back off. And now with 30 seconds left into the round, they have no map control. There's no other option to just commit into the site where most of Sentinels members are, and they have no flashes left. This is such good. Again, there's just Sentinels are trading utility bit for bit of everything that Luminosity is throwing at them, and now, well, they have to contest this choke point with not much in their back pocket. Let's just watch the rest of the round here. You see that cage, nice speed by Sick here, good flash, and then it's just easy pickings. Again, they were all set up towards A with them gaining information at B, and then when they're set up on A, well, it's just about rotating their utility usage to, stagger the Luminosity push. Great round by Sentinels, showing good gathering of information, good reads, and good utility usage. That's it for this week's video. As you can see, as their IGL, Shaz has really good intuition, but it's not about luck, but rather through the rational consequences of what his team does. As always, I hope you've learned something from this video, whether that be pushing garage with a drone, how to deal against the default, how to gather information and get reads, or overall if you're just entertained. Any of those really make my day. Feel free to implement some of these notions in your own games, and don't forget to click the thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. It's your boy KARASU, thanking you for watching.